Hi, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, I'm gonna be talking about something that I've gotten request after request after request to talk about, and that is CARV, specifically CARV 2. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically a ski boot sensor that gives you live feedback through an app. You can have headphones in at the same time, but it'll basically tell you like, oh, you made a good turn, or hey, this is what you need to work on, or hey, you need to work on your ankle flex, or hey, you need to work on downhill pressure, or you know, it's basically using an algorithm to try to figure out where your skiing's at and give you feedback. It will give you coaching, it'll say like what percentage you're at. There's a bunch of different settings, ways you can use it, and it's basically a digital coach that's using data from a device. It used to be a sensor inside of your boot, and now they've changed it so it's a sensor that sits on the outside of your boot. I believe that's so it's less intrusive. I know that the previous model had issues with the wiring over time breaking down. So this seems to be a redesign basically to be more efficient. Now, if you're curious about like the intricate differences between both boots, I would go check out Stompit tutorials video. They had a really insightful video just talking about like things have changed, things that are there, things that are not. So a lot of my information is based on them, so go check out their video. They're a great channel in general, so check them out. The other thing I really appreciate about Stompit tutorials is in their video, they say like, hey, this is a conflict of interest for several reasons. One, we are sponsored by CARV, and two, because we run a camp and we'd rather you spend money on the camp than the CARV. So I don't know, I think with those two conflicting things, from everything I saw in the video, it was very honest. And at least they acknowledge it, you know? Like, you might say, hey, I don't want to listen to someone who's sponsored by that. At least they give you full disclosure, which is much better than other content creators out there. So Stompit tutorial continues to be the gold standard for YouTube ski content. But beyond that, I'm just gonna go off of that. Now, a few things have changed with the CARV 2. Obviously, it's less intrusive, but it should last longer as far as like fraying and breaking down long term. But they also have announced a few features that have changed. I believe one being specifically the outside ski pressure metric. I guess they've changed that. I don't know if they just got rid of it because they found it not useful, or if the new hardware can't quite meet it, but they got rid of that and they're changing the software going forward. Some people are upset, some people don't care. But more specifically, let me now tell you what I think about the whole CARV system. Because honestly, I don't see a lot of people talking about CARV, and I think that's for a very specific reason. I think that right now, there are a handful of brands in the ski space that are putting a lot of money into advertising and sponsorships, specifically in like the space of YouTubers. And CARV is one of the big ones. They've worked with Rickety, Stompit tutorials. They are really, it seems, eager to work with bigger YouTube channels to promote the product. And I think what's happened is because of that, nobody wants to give like a really harsh, honest opinion because, oh, well, I want a sponsorship deal down the line. Well, lucky for you, I don't know if it's just because my hair is extra crazy or I haven't shaved or I'm just sleep deprived from my children, but I don't care. I'm gonna tell you my honest opinion one way or the other, and let the CARV money go out the window. I don't care about being sponsored for them. I have no interest in that if it gets in the way of telling you my honest, truthful opinion. And I have a couple of really big concerns with CARV. I know they're really popular. I know people find it useful. If that's you and you like it, this is not me hating on you liking a product. It's like BOA. If it works for you, more power to you. I think a product that helps people is awesome. Now, I will say, in CARV's defense, I like the idea of giving people feedback, of giving them data, rather than people having to buy ultra expensive one-on-one lessons, and then you're kind of at the whim of whether or not you have a good coach. So I will, like, we'll give it a little compliment sandwich, you know, good. My concern, good. But this is a product that honestly doesn't appeal to me. Now, I have a couple of concerns, but let me tell you right away, the one reason I would probably not buy a CARV, or it just doesn't appeal to me personally, is the feedback, like having stuff in your ears. And I know you can change that in the settings, but that is a lot of feedback. Maybe I would have appreciated that while I was racing and I'd watch footage of myself skiing and I'd get really nitty gritty, but I just don't care that much. I like being a good skier. I like honing my craft. I like working on it like drill by drill, or I'll have a thing I'm kind of focusing on each day. But that does not take precedent over what I want to enjoy, which is just being outside, being out in the mountains, getting fresh air, getting exercise, and enjoying myself. And for me, having something in my ear telling me how I'm skiing, or something on my phone that I need to check and see if I'm skiing right, it completely defeats the entire purpose of why I go skiing. I like going skiing to get away. I want some fresh air. I want some quiet. I want some peace and serenity. I like hearing my skis. How are they chattering? What kind of texture is the snow? How are the skis reacting to it on different skis? That's probably why I like reviewing skis. The sound a Oakley makes versus the sound a Blizzard Rustler makes is very, very different. And I kind of savor all of that stuff. So having something in my ears that gets in the way of that is frustrating. I'm okay with music. Sometimes if I'm just trying to get laps and, you know, I'm feeling like music is gonna add to it, sure, I can listen to music too. That kind of supplements it. But I do not want to hear something going bing, bing, oh, you made a bad turn. It's like, I do not like that. In fact, CARV is not an entirely original idea. No idea is, but there was another product like this called V-Link, and it would give you live feedback. It had little rudders on the back of your skis, and it would give you feedback based on how much you were washing at your turn. And part of my big hang up with that product back then was it was so much information. It would be like boop, 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 anytime you had snow spraying from the skis. This is similar. I don't want to know about my skiing all the time. I want to be able to relax. I want to be able to enjoy the fresh air. I don't need to be plugged into my phone all that much. I'm already plugged in my phone too much. You know, I'm whatever, social media, whatever it might be. Skiing for me is like my one kind of sanctimonious place to not be plugged in. And so at least for me personally, this interferes with that. So that's my big hang up. I don't like that. I don't want to be getting feedback all the time. Sometimes I just want to enjoy my day of skiing and relax and not worry about my form. There are days where I really get focused on it and I go, okay, today I'm going to work on my initiation. Or there's a couple things like Zach will tell me that I'm trying to improve on. He has a really cool one if you're looking for a free tip, where when I ski, I'll kind of get into my turn and then go and then get into the next turn. What Zach and his dad would tell me is like, actually, if you can kind of dive forward, fall into the turn and let your skis grab you, you can gain momentum and get more speed out of every turn. So like for the last 10 years or something, I'm still working on that. I still think it's a cool thing to try to master in time. I love trying to master downhill pressure. Okay, if I build my pressure a little bit early in my boot before the ski catches, I can get a more responsive turn. There's all sorts of things you can work on, and I feel like for my brain, the way it works personally, getting all that feedback from CARV isn't gonna help me. It's just gonna like kind of distract me and fluster me and be counterproductive for the way I like to ski. Now, that's not to say if you like that kind of feedback, if you do well with really granular coaching, this might be a perfect product for you, but I'm just talking about myself personally. What would keep me from buying it? And like I said, I'm not worried about sponsorships. I'm not worried about, oh, what's CARV gonna think? Oh, then I'll never get to get this product. I really don't care. My honesty is me. I don't do YouTube because I want a bunch of sponsorships. I do it because I like making videos and I like talking about skiing, and this stuff matters to me. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot, but hey, you can be along for the ride while I do that. The second big concern I have with CARV in general, and maybe this is CARV too, but it's been highlighted with the rollout of this new hardware, is the idea that you don't actually own anything. You don't own this product. You own the hardware, you buy the hardware, but you have to pay a monthly or yearly subscription fee, and those prices are pretty ludicrous in my mind. So for instance, right now, you get the CARV sensor. They have a promo, but typically it's $129, and then you have a season pass that's billed annually at $250. So you're looking at repeat. You know, they have all these discounts. Oh, look at this, and they try to kind of sweeten it with a bunch of promos, but that's just the base price. And right now you can get the whole thing for $200 or whatever for early bird access, but typically you are paying $129 for the sensors. I believe the old ones were more expensive, but I can't quite remember. And then you are paying a yearly subscription fee. What happens if CARV goes out of business? You are now sitting with a sensor that is basically a useless piece of hardware that if you didn't get this promotion, you paid $129 for. I hate that. I know some products need software to support it. I know you have to like maintain servers and keep employees on, but fundamentally, I don't like owning things that I don't really own. For instance, if you have a Google sensor, like I have a Google Nest thermostat, and Google's not going anywhere, but let's say it did go out, that software isn't getting serviced anymore, well, it still works as a thermostat. It still does its basic function, but you would miss out on perks. I can kind of stomach that. This, if CARV goes out of business, the hardware is completely useless. There was a really interesting video lately on Linus Tech Tips for any of you guys who watch tech reviews or things like that, where they were talking about Fischer, which is an electric car company, is going out of business. In order to pay their debtors, they're basically selling off the cars to rental car companies that are buying them at a discount in large amounts. Fischer made delivery of a percentage of those cars and was unable to deliver the rest of the cars, even though they received their money for the payout, because the servers that host all of their software, it's like cloud-based computing, are no longer up and running, so they cannot move the cars to transport them and so the other people can take ownership of it. So you have something where a product that was only sold a few years ago no longer operates because the software isn't supported anymore. And I fundamentally hate the idea of buying upfront hardware with the promise that software is going to be supported indefinitely, because there are so many cases in technology where that has not been the case. Is your CARV device in 5-10 years really going to continue to be supported? Or will there be new hardware and we're no longer supporting that? They've already changed it once. It could be that I'm wrong and this is running forever, but fundamentally, I avoid paying upfront hundreds of dollars for hardware that may or may not be supported down the line, depending on how the company goes. That to me is not worth it. If you want to sell me the hardware and then whatever subscription is free indefinitely, I can stomach that a little bit more, but paying yearly for a subscription and hoping that it'll be there later, or, just make it a service where you're not paying for the hardware. Obviously, they know that because a lot of the promotions don't have that. But that's something I'm not seeing ski people talk about, because I guess I don't even know how many ski reviewers there are, honestly. There's like a handful, because the majority of these places are just ski shops that are selling you things. Not Stompit tutorials, but the majority of other review channels. Anyway, I don't need to start a war here again, but my point is, I haven't seen anyone talk about this, and that is my really big concern. You're buying this product, you're paying $130 for it, and then you pay $250 a year in hopes that that will be enough to keep this company running and getting the software that you want. And they already removed a feature year over year. You paid upfront. Maybe you only bought it for that one feature. Maybe you bought this product specifically for the outside ski pressure metric. For me, personally, that would be the most important metric, and having it pulled back, having it taken away from you after you've already invested money into the hardware for a year and the software for a year is insane. So I just fundamentally don't like that. It's risky. Now, that being said, kudos to Stompit Tutorial. They are sponsored by this. This is like money in their pockets that keep the lights on for them, and they still were willing to say the good and the bad and their concerns about the product, which I think is great. And they showed it being used, which is something you don't always get with these product showcases. So Jens, Stompit Tutorials, A+, good job. I have zero critique for you guys. You displayed your biases, you kind of popped the hood and showed everyone what's going on behind the scenes, and still gave an in-depth analysis of the product. But I will say that I have not seen anyone else talk about this, and I wanted to bring up these issues because I can see them coming down the line, and they're things that for me make it so I don't want to own this product. Now, that being said, these are a couple of things that are specific to me. I fundamentally don't like owning things that I don't really own. It's like, for instance, I bought music years ago on Google Play Music, and then they transferred over to YouTube Music, but because I missed those emails, my entire library was gone. Now, it was 3 songs, so who cares? But that taught me, fundamentally, when you buy these things digitally, you don't really own them. When you pay for this hardware, it is only as valuable as how well the software is maintained and features that you're allowed to access, and you have to pay yearly just to access that. It would be different if it was okay, well, this sensor will still give you some live data, but our software that you're paying for every year will help you break it down, or use experts to help you know what to change. I could see that being a really good thing, but if you pay for the sensor, you should get the data that it's collecting, in my opinion. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I see everyone kind of avoiding talking about it, and I would assume that because there's just so much money floating around for advertising with CARV and some other companies that, you know, I would shoot my career in the foot. Career. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel without you guys. So for me, honesty always comes first. And honestly, I don't really know any other way to live, but those are my big concerns with CARV. If you have CARV and you and I got something wrong, please shout out in the comments if you haven't already at this point. CARV, if I miss something and you want to send me an email, please email me directly. But in my opinion, there are a few glaring issues for me. And I fundamentally don't want that much stuff in my ear. I get product proposals from companies where they go, oh, don't you want to be able to talk to someone in your helmet while you're skiing, and it'll be like a built-in earpiece? This was another sponsor that I turned down. And I go, no. What do I need to talk to people for? I'll talk to them at the chair. Now, if you're shooting a video, sure, that could be useful. If you're in the powder and it's for safety, sure, backcountry makes sense. But just for like shooting the crap and talking to someone or taking a phone call, no. Like, there are so many, I am always reachable, pretty much 24/7. Skiing is my one time that's for me. That's for me. Okay, I've got my watch, and you know, my kid's school could call me an emergency and get a hold of me. But other than that, I have time to myself where it's just me and the snow and the skis. And that is so crucial. That's a large percentage of what I love about skiing. So maybe you guys feel differently. Maybe you would love the data. Maybe all of this stuff seems rosy and I am totally out to lunch. I'm sure you'll let me know. But I wanted to give my 2 cents. So anyway, that's the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. That is a free way to support the channel, and it helps kind of support us and get us out to more people. You can also, I'll have links down below. I found a bunch of ski deals over the week last week. I will put those down below. We have some new affiliates with Meier Skis that we can actually like track with an actual website, so it's not just word of mouth. I think you can do both just to ensure, but there's a lot of good stuff. It's like the best time of year to get your ski boots and skis. So definitely take advantage of that. We also have memberships if you want to financially support the channel. But as always, more than anything, just thank you for taking the time to watch my content. I know you guys take time out of your day, and that means a ton to me. And without you guys, I wouldn't be here making this stuff. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.